The story begins years before anyone knows the name Mama. During a violent financial collapse, a man named Jeffrey Desange loses everything in a single day. His career, his home, and finally his sanity. Convinced the world has betrayed him, Jeffrey commits an unthinkable act. He murders his wife in their home, believing he is sparing her from a future of suffering. With blood on his hands and nothing left to lose, he takes his two young daughters, Victoria and Lily, and drives into a blizzard, planning to end all their lives. The road is slick with snow, visibility nearly gone. Jeffrey crashes the car near a dense forest far from civilization. He carries the girls through the snow, following a barely visible path, until he discovers an abandoned cabin hidden deep in the woods. It looks old, forgotten, and barely standing, but it offers shelter from the storm. Inside the cabin, Jeffrey prepares to kill his daughters and then himself. He raises his gun, whispering that this is for the best. But before he can pull the trigger, something unseen intervenes. A dark, unnatural force lunges from the shadows and snaps his neck instantly. The girls are left alive, screaming in terror, as the presence drags Jeffrey's body away into the darkness. That presence is Mama. Years pass. Victoria and Lily are never found. The world assumes they died in the crash. Search parties comb the forest for days, then weeks, but the wilderness swallows every trace. Eventually, the case goes cold. 5 years later, the abandoned cabin is discovered by chance. Inside, rescuers find 2 feral children living in conditions no human should survive. Victoria, now older, speaks in broken sentences and clings to logic. Lily, younger, moves on all fours, snarls like an animal, and barely understands human language. They appear to be raised by something, or someone. When the girls are taken to civilization, doctors are baffled. There are no signs of another human caretaker. No footprints. No supplies. After Lucas is hospitalized, the house feels emptier and more dangerous. Annabelle tries to keep life normal for the girls, but Mama's presence grows stronger without another adult around. Shadows linger too long. The air turns icy without warning. Objects move when no one is looking. Annabelle realizes this is no longer about fear. Something is actively fighting her. Victoria begins to understand what Mama truly is. Unlike Lily, who still longs for the creature that raised her, Victoria starts to see Mama's anger and possessiveness. She notices how Mama reacts whenever Annabelle shows affection. The more Annabelle steps into the role of a mother, the more violent Mama becomes. Dr. Dreyfus continues his research and grows obsessed. Through old records, he uncovers the full tragedy of Edith Brennan. Edith escaped from an asylum after her baby was taken from her. She stole the child back and fled into the wilderness, believing death would keep them together forever. When she jumped from the cliff, her body shattered on impact, but the baby survived and was later found by villagers. Edith died believing her child was lost forever. That grief twisted her spirit into Mama. Dreyfus becomes convinced that Mama's attachment to Victoria and Lily comes from this unresolved loss. He believes that if Mama can be reunited with the remains of her child, her spirit may finally be at peace. Against all warnings, he secretly retrieves the baby's bones from their resting place. Mama does not see this as help. She sees it as theft. That night, Mama appears fully, no longer hiding. She storms through the house in a rage, her movements violent and unnatural. Walls crack. Doors slam. The house itself seems to recoil from her fury. She kills Dr. Dreyfus instantly, snapping his body with ease, and takes back the baby's bones. Lily watches in awe, calling out to Mama, wanting to return to the forest where she felt safe. Victoria screams in terror, finally understanding that Mama's love is Dan. Victoria's grip tightens as Mama pulls Lily toward the edge. Snow whips through the air, and the cliff seems to stretch endlessly below them. Annabelle rushes forward, trying to help, but Mama's strength is inhuman. For a brief moment, everything freezes in silence, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. Mama looks down at Victoria. For the first time, there is hesitation. Victoria is no longer afraid. She looks at Mama with sadness, not rejection. She tells her softly that Lilly is not her baby, that she deserves to be free, not trapped in grief forever. Those words cut deeper than any weapon. Mama's attention shifts to the tiny bones clutched in her other hand. The baby she lost. The child she died for. From the darkness, a faint shape appears. The spirit of Mama's real baby rises gently, glowing and calm, untouched by the rage that twisted its mother. It reaches toward Mama, calling her silently. Mama trembles. Her body shakes violently as the truth overwhelms her. She understands now. She was never reunited with her child because she refused to let go of the living. Her love became possession. Her protection became a curse. Lilly begins to slip from Mama's grasp. Victoria pulls harder, screaming for Annabelle to help. Annabelle grabs Victoria, anchoring her to the ground. Mama's fingers loosen as she stares at the spirit of her baby. Tears stream down her face, dissolving into shadow. In that moment, Mama makes a choice. She releases Lilly. The child falls into Victoria's arms as Mama steps fully into the void, clutching her baby's spirit close to her chest. For the first time, Mama's face softens. The rage fades. The pain fades. As she falls, she whispers a final goodbye, not in anger, but in peace. Mama disappears into the darkness. Months pass, and life slowly returns to a fragile normal. Annabelle works to create stability for Victoria and Lilly, helping them navigate a world that once abandoned them. Victoria begins school, learning words she had only recently reclaimed, while Lilly follows her sister's lead, still cautious but gradually more trusting of human touch. The sisters are inseparable, bound not just by blood but by the shared memory of survival and Mama's lingering presence. Annabelle spends long nights reflecting on the events that changed their lives. She understands that Mama, terrifying as she was, saved the girls in her own twisted way. The forest that had once seemed so threatening is now a symbol of resilience. Annabelle realizes that motherhood is not only about protection but about knowing when to let go, even when it hurts. The girls begin to play in the backyard, laughter spilling into the evening air. Occasionally, Victoria looks toward the edge of the woods, and Lilly listens to whispers in the wind. Both are reminders that some experiences leave permanent marks, but those marks do not have to define the future. One night, Victoria dreams of Mama, but not as the monstrous figure that haunted her childhood. In the dream, Mama smiles faintly, holding the spirit of her lost child. She nods at Victoria and Lilly, acknowledging that the girls are safe, loved, and free. It is the first sign of true closure. Victoria wakes with a deep sense of calm, understanding that Mama's love, though destructive, was real. Annabelle sits by the fireplace, watching the sisters sleep. She reflects on the sacrifices that were made, Marcus in another story, Mama here, and how survival often comes at a price. But in every shadow, there is a glimmer of hope. The girls are alive, together, and no longer bound by fear. The wind outside carries the faint sound of the forest, leaves rustling, distant animals moving, and the echo of a protective spirit that finally found peace. The house is quiet now, but